السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته يا شيخنا.
أبا عبد الرحمن.
الحمد لله يا شيخنا. نعم يا شيخنا.
نبدأ. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد, we have been reading about Seerah A'ishah radhiyallahu anha al-Mu'minin. We have been reading about the life of our mother Āishah, the various aspects of her life. We started with her lineage, her father, her mother, and their relatives. We started with when she was born, how she was born, how she grew up, radiyallahu anha, that she witnessed as she discussed her marriage with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We discussed her movement from Makkah to Medina when she moved together with her father, her father's wife and her mother and the rest of the house. They moved to Medina, following some of the Muslims that were sent to accompany them on that journey. We discussed about her stay in Medina with the Prophet, how her marriage was consummated, how she was brought to the house of the Prophet, a new wife, the events of that day and the subsequent days, and other major events in her life. Those ones that she was happy about, and those ones that were means of fitan for the entirety of the ummah. They were fitna for her, they were big trials for her, they were big trials. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One of them was hadithatul ifk, that evil slandering that was directed to our mother radiyallahu anha by the kuffar, by the munafiq, and some of those who were weak-minded amongst the Muslims. They fell into it. They were blamed for it by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the verses of the Quran. We also came across the story of the loss of her necklace, her qilada, on the journey with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, leading to the revelation of the verses on At-Tibyān. We also came to the narrations in the last class between herself and Abdullah ibn Zubayr. When Abdullah ibn Zubayr noticed that Āishah radiyallahu anha had sold off or given off as a gift a particular landed property that she had. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, bay'atil kaddar. Abdullah ibn Zubayr felt bad. He felt angry, radiyallahu anhuma, about why should our mother Āishah, why should he have sold that house? Or why should she have given out that house as a gift? And then he said, رضي الله عنه, أما والله لتنتهين عن بيع ربائها أو لأحجرن عليها ين عائشة عن بيع ربائها أو لأحجرن عليها, or I would hold back our hands. The scholars say لأمنع عنها من ذلك, عنها. I will have certainly prevented her from that. She should hold back or I will prevent her. عنها. أمنعها. I will certainly prevent her from selling that property. When that got to Āishah radiallahu anha, she swore by Allah radiallahu anha. She said, Lillahi alayya nadhrun alla ukallimahu hatta yufarriqa bayni wa baynahu al-maut. I swear by Allah, la ukallimuhu. I will never speak with Abdullah ibn Zubayr hatta yufarriqa bayni wa baynahu, until death will separate between myself and Abdullah ibn Zubayr. And how she stopped. And Abdullah ibn Zubayr, the scholars say, Can Abdullah ibn Zubayr أحب البشر إلى عائشة رضي الله عنها بعد النبي وأبي بكر. They say that this hadith occurs in Sahih al-Bukhari, that Abdullah ibn Zubayr كان أحب البشر إلى عائشة. He was of the most beloved. He was the most of human beings to Āishah. بعد النبي وأبي بكر, after her love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and her love for Abu Bakr. The person she loved most was who? Abdullah ibn Zubayr. وَكَانَ أَبَرًّا بِهَا. And Abdullah ibn Zubayr was from the most honorable of the people to Āishah. Āishah loved Zubayr. Abdullah ibn Zubayr also was very, very nice to Āishah in his dealings with her. But yet, look at this that has happened between them. Like we mentioned in the last class, it is very, very important that when you are with somebody, don't take your relationship for that person for granted. Don't say things. Be careful. كل عبادي يقول التي هي أقوم. Tell my slaves all the time, say what is appropriate. وقولوا قولا سديدا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. Don't take your relationship with your husband. Don't take your relationship with your wife. Don't take your relationship with your father. Don't take your relationship with your son for granted. So that you now say something and that thing becomes a means of fitna between the two of you. That statement by Abdullah ibn Zubayr, La amna anna aw la tantahiyanna Āishatu an bay'i ribaiha aw la ahjuranna alayha. Āishah should stop that, or la ahjuranna, I will hold back her hand. That was a big statement from Abdullah ibn Zubayr to his own maternal aunt, his own khala, our mother Āishah. It was a big statement to her. And it made her to abandon him for a long period. And that abandoning had a consequence. Imām Adh-Dhahabi mentions in this story that when Āishah abandoned Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu anhuma, فنقصه الله بذلك في أمره كله. نقصه الله بذلك في أمره كله. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he felt that depreciation. He felt failure. في أمره كله. Allah made him to feel failure in all his affairs. Abdullah ibn Zubayr felt failures in all his affairs. That time when he had problem with Āishah. Ikhwa, that is how it comes to be. You may have an issue with your mother and you'll be feeling failures in everything you are doing. You may have issues with your father. You'll be having failures in everything you are doing. You may have issues with your sheikh. Wallahi, you'll be feeling failures in everything you are doing. You may have issues with your friend. And perhaps you are the one to be blamed. And you'll be noticing failures in the things you are doing. This means that we all should take our relationship with ourselves very important. Nobody should take it for granted. Don't say something that will destroy the relationship between yourself and your friend. May Allah protect all of us. فاستشفع بكل أحد يرى أنه يسكل عليها. Abdullah ibn Zubayr went in Medina. Every person that he saw will be big in the eyes of Āishah. Every person he could go to, Ibn Zubayr went to them to help them plead with Āishah. فَأَبَتْ أَن تُكَلِّمَهُ. Our mother Āishah radiallahu anha rejected. And when we came down in the story, we remember that Abdullah ibn Zubayr had to go in with Miswar ibn Makhrama and Abdurrahman ibn Aswad. Both of them were from Banu Zuhra. They were both the ones who covered up Ibn Zubayr so that he could come into the house. Then he went to our mother Āishah. He held her, hugged her, as a son would hug his mother. And then he began to weep, begging her to forgive him and overlook and then speak with him. That was how that went. And the person who narrated this hadith was the son of the step-brother of Āishah. The son of the step-brother of Āishah, rahimahullah. His name was Awf ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl. Awf ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl was the one who reported this after. Down Awf said, rahimahullah ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl, ثم سمعتها بعد. After that incident, I used to hear Āishah radiallahu anha تذكر نذرها ذلك. She would remember that her bowing. فتبكي حتى تبل خمارها. حتى خمارها. She will begin to cry and cry and cry حتى تبل خمارها, until her khimar will become wet. She will begin to cry because she had vowed never to ever speak with Abdullah ibn Zubayr. This occurs on page 184 on our screen. On page 185, Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, قال Ibn al-Madini, that Al-Imam Ali ibn Abdullah ibn al-Madini said, كذا قال. That was what he said. That was what he said. Who is that qa'il that Ali ibn al-Madini referred to? That is Al-Imam al-Awza'i rahimahullah. Because this riwayah we read is from the riwayah from the loves of Al-Awza'i, Abdurrahman al-Awza'i rahimahullah. That was his riwayah from Al-Imam al-Suhri. So he's saying that what he's going to cite now is a correction of something occurring in the report of Al-Imam al-Awza'i. So he said, Qala Ibn al-Madini. Ibn al-Madini said, Kaza qal. That was how Al-Imam al-Awza'i had said, Was-sawabu indi. But what is correct in my view, it is Awf ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl. We remember that we said that in the last class. The man is not Awf ibn Harith ibn Tufayl. He is not Awf ibn Tufayl. Al-Harith is the father. Harith ibn Tufayl is the brother of Āishah. So the boy's name, his son's name was Awf ibn al-Harith. But here in page 183, Al-Imam al-Awza'i, that Al-Imam Adh-Dhahabi quoted, he said it is Awf ibn Tufayl. So Ali ibn al-Madini, Imam Adh-Dhahabi cites him here on page 185 that it was an error. It says, was sawabu indi. What is right in my view is that the man's name was Auf ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl. Auf ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl ibn Sakhbara. Auf ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl ibn Sakhbara. It said, وَكَذَلِكَ رَوَاهُ صَالِحُ ibn Kaysan. The same way that Salih ibn Kaysan. Salih ibn Kaysan was a student of Al-Imam al-Zuhri, and he was a colleague of Al-Imam al-Zuhri. So that was how he also reported it. And al-Zuhri, from Al-Imam al-Zuhri. وَتَابَعَهُ مَعْمَرٌ. And Ma'mar ibn Rashid reported it the way Salih ibn Kaysan reported it from Al-Imam al-Zuhri. Meaning that the correct thing about the name of the man is Auf ibn Harith ibn Tufayl. That man was not Auf ibn Tufayl ibn Harith. And Imam Ibn Madini gave the evidence for that the reports of Salih ibn Kaysan and the report of Ma'mar ibn Rashid, it has occurred as Auf ibn Harith ibn Tufayl. I think we can progress. The Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, قال عطاء ابن أبي رباح. Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, قال عطاء ابن أبي رباح. عطاء ابن أبي رباح said, كانت عائشة أفقه الناس. We recall that they are mentioning the virtues of Aisha. They are mentioning the excellence of Aisha. They are mentioning high points, those things of goodness that were found in her. The last one we read was about her knowledge as far as the science of healing is concerned and other aspects of what she was well known for in terms of knowledge. And here, Atta ibn Abi Rabah said, كانت عائشة أفقه الناس. Aisha radiallahu anha, she was the best of the people in terms of fiqh, in terms of good and deep understanding of the deen. Aisha was in the front of the people. وَأَحْسَنَ النَّاسِ رَأْيًا فِي الْعَامَّةِ وَأَحْسَنَ النَّاسِ رَأْيًا فِي الْعَامَّةِ. And she was of the best of the people in terms of their feelings and general consideration of the generality of the affairs of the people. He has a very good opinion about the affairs of the people. He knows about the affairs of the people. Her views regarding the affairs, the general affairs of the people were very strong. So she was not just a scholar of the people. She knew the affairs of the people. She knew what the people are upon. Radiallahu anha. And there were a lot of people who said things like this about her. Another one was that statement of Al-Imam al-Zuhri that comes after that of Atta ibn Abi Rabah, when he said, وَقَالَ الزُّهْرِ. Al-Zuhri, rahimahullah, was from those who learnt from the students of Aisha. Al-Imam al-Zuhri took knowledge from those who were direct students of Aisha. So Imam al-Zuhri said, rahimahullah, Muhammad ibn Muslim ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, he said, لو جمع علم عائشة إلى علم جميع النساء. And this is great now. لو جمع علم عائشة إلى علم جميع النساء لكان علم عائشة أفضل. لو جمع علم عائشة إلى علم جميع النساء لكان علم عائشة أفضل. Al-Imam al-Zuhri said, if the knowledge of Aisha were gathered and compared with ilmu jami'in nisa, the knowledge that all other women acquired, lakana ilmu Aisha afdal, the knowledge that Aisha acquired would have been more excellent. It would be more virtuous. radiyallahu anha. You can see that apart from saying that Āishah radiyallahu anha was beloved to the Prophet, the next thing you will hear them speaking about her most was about what? Knowledge, 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 knowledge. Oh, sisters, ummahat, knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Apart from saying that Āishah was a good wife, was a beloved wife, was loved, and the women were jealous of her. They were jealous of her because of her love for the Prophet and the Prophet's love for her. Apart from these kinds of matters, the other things that were highlighted about Āishah was about what? Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. So Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, rahimahullah, لو جمع علم عائشة في أو لو جمع علم عائشة إلى علم جميع النساء لكان علم عائشة أفضل. We know that before we came to this, we had read to us that statement from Al-Imam Al-Hakim Nisaburi Abu Abdullah, when he said, حُمِلَ أَنْهَا رُبُعُ الشَّرِيعَةِ. Imam Hakim Nisaburi said, حُمِلَ أَنْ عَائِشَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهَا كَمْ رُبُعُ الشَّرِيعَةِ. 1/4 of the Sharia was conveyed down, was transmitted down from who? Āishah. She was a major conveyor of the knowledge of this religion. She came 1/4, put the entire knowledge of the religion into 4 places. Āishah conveyed one of them. Likewise, at the beginning of our book, on page, far earlier in the book, page 14 or thereabouts, Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, rahimahullah, وَلَا أَعْلَمُ فِي أُمَّةِ مُحَمَّدٍ لَا أَعْلَمُ في أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم بل ولا في النساء مطلقا امرأة أعلم منها. Imām Adh-Dhahabi in Siyar A'alām An-Nubala, he had spoken about the knowledge of our mother Āishah. That occurs on page 140. Previously we had read this statement from Adh-Dhahabi when he said, لا أعلم في أمة محمد بل ولا في النساء مطلقا امرأة أعلم منها. Al-Imam Shamsuddin Al-Dhahabi, he said, I do not know لا أعلم في أمة محمد. I do not know in this ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. In fact, ولا في النساء مطلقا. In fact, in the generality of women, I don't know any woman أعلم منها, more knowledgeable than Āishah radiyallahu anha. So you will see the people mentioning her about knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. That knowledge they are talking about is the knowledge of the Deen, the knowledge of Quran, the knowledge of Hadith, the knowledge of Fiqh, the knowledge of Tariq, history, the knowledge of Ansab, lineage and genealogy. This one is the son of this. This one is the son of that. That one was connected to this. This one was connected to that. Āishah knew that. Radiyallahu anha. Likewise, she was so brilliant in ilmul fara'id, the science of distribution of inheritance, to the extent that Masruq ibn al-Ajda said, rahimahullah, لَقَدْ رَأَيْتُ أَصْحَابَ مُحَمَّدٍ الْأَكَابِرِ يَسْأَلُونَهَا عَنِ الْفَرَائِضِ. I have seen even elders amongst the companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, يَسْأَلُونَهَا عَنِ الْفَرَائِضِ. I think this is the best thing that anybody could be talked about. After they talk about your family life, the next thing is about how much your knowledge has benefited the Ummah. It has benefited this Ummah a lot. Āishah radiyallahu anha. So here Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, لَوْ جُمِعَ عِلْمُ عَائِشَةَ. If the knowledge of Āishah were to be put together, إِلَى ilmi jami' nisa. If you put it side by side with the knowledge of the rest of the women, لَكَانَ عِلْمُ عَائِشَةَ أَفْضَلُ. You would find that the knowledge of Aisha was more virtuous. Radiallahu anha. Back to page 185. Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, Rahimahullah, قال حفص ibn Ghiyas. Hafs ibn Ghiyas was a well-known sheikh. He has a son, Umar. That's his son, Umar ibn Hafs ibn Ghiyas, was from the shuyukh of who? Al-Imam al-Bukhari. Rahimahullah. Here we are talking about Hafs himself. He said, حدثنا إسماعيل عن أبي إسحاق أبو إسحاق السبيعي عمرو ibn Abdullah, who said, قال مسروق, that Masruq ibn al-Ajda. We told us about Masruq ibn al-Ajda. He has a kunya. What is it? Masruq was what? Abu Āishah. Radiyallahu rahimahullah. He said, لولا بعض الأمر لأقمت المناحة على أم المؤمنين. لولا بعض الأمر لأقمت المناحة على أم المؤمنين. لولا بعض الأمر, if not for some issues, لأقمت المناحة. المناحة, the scholars explain what المناحة means. They say that المناحة موضع البكاء على الميت. The Arabs usually value people crying over the dead. Arabs value that when they die, people cry over their dead ones. So before some old people die, they will tell their children that when I die, make sure that people come and cry very well. So they have professional criers, and they set up a platform for them to cry. The Prophet came sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and destroyed that practice. He mentioned an-niyaha from the aspects of al-jahiliyyah. An-niyaha, crying over the dead, wailing, jumping up, potting up, tearing the fruits and flying, and all of these. Arabs liked it before. So one of the things they used to do is that they set up al-manaha. Al-manaha is the stage, the particularly constructed structure where those who are crying over that dead person, they come and say they'll be crying. May Allah protect us. Which was a common practice. The Prophet prohibited it. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Inna al-mayyita la yu'adzabu bi buka'i ahlihi alayhi. This is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. It was also reported by Umar ibn al-Khattab. There are reports of it from Abu Huraira and others. That the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Inna al-mayyita la yu'adzabu bi buka'i ahlihi alayhi. The one who passes away, la yu'adzabu fil qabri, he will be punished inside his grave, bi buka'i ahlihi alayhi, because of the wailing of his family members over his death. But here, Masruq is saying that لولا بعض الأمر لأقمت المناحة على أم المؤمنين. If not for some issues, I would have established a place where people will come in to cry, to show their sadness over the death of Āishah radiallahu anha. What we can say about this kind of a thing coming from Masruq ibn al-Ajda is that perhaps he was not aware of these ahadith that prohibit crying over and wailing over a person who was dead. Maybe Masruq was not aware and Allah knows best. Otherwise, it is not lawful to establish a manaha over a person who dies. I hope that this matter is clear. The next paragraph, Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, وعن عبد الله ibn Ubayd ibn Umayr وعن عبد الله ibn Ubayd ibn Umayr. Abdullah ibn Ubayd ibn Umayr, he is Abu Hashim al-Laythi. Abdullah ibn Ubayd ibn Umayr, he is Abu Hashim al-Laythi al-Makki rahimahullah. He said he is from the students of his own father Ubayd ibn Umayr. Ubayd ibn Umayr was from amongst the eminent scholars. His son Abdullah was amongst his students. So here Abdullah ibn Ubayd ibn Umayr said, Ama innahu la yahzunu alayha illa man kanat ummahu. Innahu la yahzunu alayha illa man kanat ummahu. He said, no one will be sad over the death of Āishah except those that kanat ummahu, those that man kanat Āishatu ummahu, the person that Āishah is his mother. That is the person who will be sad that Āishah has died. Because there were some people who will not be sad that she had died. Those are the Shia, the people of Shi'iyya. We refer to them as the people of Shiism. We went in sheer hatred of our mother, Ummul Mu'minin Āishah, radiyallahu anha. So for these kinds of people, when they hear that he passed away, they will not feel sad. For those of us who, Bismillah, from the people of the Sunnah, we know that she was our mother. There are a lot of ahadith from that, including the one from Ali ibn Abi Talib. All of them saying that Āishah radiyallahu anha was from Ummahatul Mu'minin, and she was Habibatu, Habibillah. She was the beloved of that one that Allah likes, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So we will be sad when she passed away. What actually happened was Ubayd ibn Umayr, the father of Abdullah, Ubayd ibn Umayr, the father of Abdullah, some of the people, قَدِمَ رَجُلٌ فَفَعَلَهُ أَبِي, a man came to meet Ubayd ibn Umayr. A man came to meet Ubayd ibn Umayr, the father of Abdullah. In this report, Ubayd ibn Umayr, a man came to meet him. فَسَأَلَهُ أَبِي, he said, Abdullah says, so my father Ubayd ibn Umayr asked that man, كَيْفَ كَانَ وَجَدَ النَّاسُ عَلَى Āishah? How did the people feel over the death of Āishah? A man came to ask Ubayd came to meet Ubayd ibn Umayr. So Ubayd ibn Umayr asked him, كيف كان وجد الناس على عائشة أو كيف كان وجد الناس على عائشة? How was the sadness of the people over the death of Āishah? The man said, فقال كان فيهم وكان. The man started to describe how people were sad about the passing away of Āishah. Then the man said, rahimahullah, أما إنه لا يحزن عليها إلا من كانت أمه. Well, basically, لا يحزن عليها. Nobody will feel sorry, feel grieved over the death of Āishah, except that person that Āishah is his mother. Meaning, if Āishah is your mother, you feel bad about her death. Meaning that if you're a person of the Sunnah, you feel bad about the passing away of Āishah. If you're a person upon the Quran and the Sunnah, the way of the companions, you feel bad about the passing away of Āishah, radiyallahu anha. The next report here is a report that Imām Adh-Dhahabi mentions from Al-Qasim ibn Abdul-Wahid ibn Ayman. Al-Qasim ibn Abdul-Wahid ibn Ayman. This Rawi, this reporter Al-Qasim, the scholars say that he has some weakness in the accuracy of his report. Al-Qasim ibn Abdullah ibn Ayman, he said, حدثنا عمر بن عبد الله ابن عروة, عمر ibn Abdullah ibn Urwa, عن جده عروة, and Āishah radiyallahu anha قالت. We remember Urwa ibn Zubayr. Urwa had a grandson whose name was what? Umar. Urwa ibn Zubayr had a grandson. What was his name? Umar. He is the one reporting from Urwa, that Urwa reported from Āishah radiyallahu anha that qalat, that Āishah said radiyallahu anha, فخرت بمال أبي في الجاهلية. فخرت, I was proud, I was glad regarding my father's wealth during Jahiliyyah. And that was because Abu Bakr al-Siddiq was very, very rich. Radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr al-Siddiq was stupendously rich. Radiallahu anhu. So Aisha said, فَخَرْتُ بِمَالِ أَبِي فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. I used to show joy to other people. فَخَرْتُ. I would show happiness to other people because of the wealth of my father, the wealth that he had during the days of Jahiliyyah. وَكَانَ أَلْفَ أَلْفِ أَوْقِيَةٍ. That money was ألف ألف أوقية. أو أوقية. You can read it as أوقية. You can also read it as what? أوقية. أوقية أو أوقية. Its plural is awaq or awaki, al-awaki. And that is 200 grams of gold, 200 grams of silver. Awqiya refers to 200 grams of silver. One awqiya or uqiya is how many grams of gold, of how many grams of silver? 200 grams of silver. So in this report it says that Abu Bakr al-Siddiq had alf awqiya. What does that mean? Alf, 1 million. Alf. That is 1,000 of 1,000. 1,000 of what? 1,000. So how many zeros will we have? 6 zeros. That is 1 million. 1 million awqiya. فقال النبي صلى الله 1 million awqiya. And we said that 1 awqiya is 200 grams. 1 awqiya is 200 grams. 1 awqiya is 200 grams. So 1 million awqiya will be what? 200 million awqiya. That is 1 awqiya is 200 grams. If it is alf awqiya, 1 million awqiya, it means we are talking about how many grams? 200 million grams. I hope that it is clear. 200 million grams of silver. 200 million grams of silver. You can reduce it. Bring it to kilograms. So if you bring 200 million to kilograms, you'll be left with 200,000 kilograms. 200,000 kilograms of silver. Aisha said that was the worth, financial worth of my father during Jahiliyyah. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, regarding that, the Prophet said, عليه الصلاة والسلام, يا عائشة كنت لك كأبي زرع لأم زرع. I am to you like Abu Zar'. The way I am to you, the way Abu Zar' was to Zar'. This is one of the evidences that this reporter has leaned. Why? He has mixed up and caused him in the Wahid in Ayman. This is one of the evidence that he has weakness in his hadith. Why? The hadith about Abu Zar' and Zar' are two separate hadiths. There is a hadith of Abu Zar' and Zar'. So you can see he is mixing it up. He's mixing up. So this is not his weak. This technique. And it's not of this riwayah, of this report. It has someone who is weak. في الإسناد لين. This isnad has some weakness. And who is that person who is weak in that? That is that Al-Qasim ibn Abdul Wahid ibn Ayman is a weak reporter of hadith. Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, وَأَعْتَقِدُ لَفْظَةَ أَلْفَ الْوَاحِدَةَ بَاطِلَةٌ فَإِنَّهُ يَكُونُ أَرْصِدًا. That word, because it says it's alf, that first one, باطلة, as wrong. فَإِنَّهُ أَرْبَعِينَ أَلْفَ دِرْهَمٍ, because 1,000 awqiyah would make 40,000 ألف dirham, will make 40,000 dirhams. 1,000 awqiyah will make 40,000 dirham. Why? Because an awqiyah is 40 dirham. 1 awqiyah is 40 dirham, or 40 silver coins. So if you say alf, that is 1 million. It's 3 million dirhams. So Zahabi said no, it is alf, not alf. The wealth of Abu Bakr was alf awqiyah, not alf awqiyah. He said because even 1,000 awqiyah is 40,000 dirham. 1,000 awqiyah is 40,000 dirham. So if you say it is alf, meaning 1 million awqiyah, 3 million dirham. He said, وَفِي ذَلِكَ مَفْخَرٌ لِرَجُلٍ تَاجِرٍ. So if you say Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had 40,000 dirhams, the error in that hadith is the saying that it is alf. What is correct is that it is what? 1 alf. That is 1,000 awqiyah. And 1,000 awqiyah is 40,000. And 40,000 dirhams. Al-Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, وَفِي ذَلِكَ مَفْخَرٌ لِرَجُلٍ تَاجِرٍ. If a trader has 40,000 dirhams, he said that is something a trader mafkharun can be proud about. 40,000 dirhams. If you want to calculate 40,000 dirhams in our own coins, in our oaths, you know how to calculate it. 200 dirhams, the nisab for zakah in dirhams is 200 dirhams. And that's about 600,000 naira. So 40,000 dirhams will be how many? If 200 dirhams is 600,000 naira, 1 dirham will be how many? 600,000 divided by what? Divided by 200. That will give us 6,000 naira per dirham. So if you calculate 40,000 dirhams, so Abu Bakr as-Siddiq will be said to be having 40,000 dirhams times 6,000 in naira. So we have, that will be about 24 or 2.4 billion thereabouts. Allah. If you say Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had about 2.4 billion naira, you know that he was a billionaire. Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. So Al-Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, وَفِي ذَلِكَ مَفْخَرٌ لِرَجُلٍ تَاجِرٍ. That is sufficient for a businessman to be happy about. وَقَدْ أَنْفَقَ مَالَهُ فِي ذَاتِ اللَّهِ. وَقَدْ أَنْفَقَ مَالَهُ فِي ذَاتِ اللَّهِ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he spent the entirety of his wealth فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, upon the path of Allah, for the sake of Allah. That was why the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he would always say that ma nafa'ani malun, ma nafa'ani malu Abi Bakr as-Siddiq. ما نفعني مال ما نفعني مال Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. No wealth benefited me like the wealth of who? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So if Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had 40,000 dirhams as a trader, in our own currency today, 40,000 times 6,000, how many will that be? 40,000 times 6,000. How many will that be? 40,000 times 6,000. How many will that be? That was the wealth of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq before he became a Muslim. When he became a Muslim, he spent everything fi sabilillah. The Prophet said about him, alayhi salatu wasalam, no wealth benefited me like the wealth of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. All those 40,000 dirhams, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq spent it fi sabilillah. He freed slaves, many Muslims who had accepted Islam who remained as slaves, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq freed them. Many of the journeys, the journey to Ethiopia, the journey returning from Ethiopia, many other expenses for this ummah at the beginning of the da'wah were borne by Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, ma nafa'ani mali, no wealth benefited me, ma nafa'ani malu Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. The way the wealth of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq benefited me, no wealth benefited me like that. And he said to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, anta atiqullahi minan. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, you are atiqullah. You are a man who has already been free from the fire of Jahannam. Allah will not burn you in the fire. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, وَقَدْ أَنْفَقَ مَالَهُ فِي ذَاتِ اللَّهِ. All those wealth we are talking about that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had, he spelt it fi sabilillah. وَلَمَّا هَاجَرَ كَانَ قَدْ بَقِيَ مَعَهُ 6,000 dirham. لَمَّا هَاجَرَ, when he made hijrah with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, بَقِيَ مَعَهُ 6,000 dirhamin. It remained only 6,000 dirhams. We can still calculate 6,000 dirhams from 40,000 dirhams. Its capital in business was 40,000 dirhams times 6,000 naira. That is the equivalent in naira. Now at Hijrah, kana baqiya ma'ahu 6,000 dirham. It remained 6,000 dirhams. 6,000 dirhams times 6,000. That is the value in naira. 6,000. That's how many? About 36 million. 6,000 times 6,000. It's 36 million. So about 36 million naira was left at Hijrah. فَأَخَذَهَا صُحْبَتُهُ. فَأَخَذَهَا صُحْبَتُهُ. His companionship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took that money away because he was spending it. أما ألف أو هي ألف, as in that report by Al-Qasim ibn Abdul-Wahid ibn Ayman, Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, فَلَا تَجْتَمِعُ إِلَّا لِسُلْطَانٍ كَبِيرٍ. Nobody will be able to gather that kind of a wealth except a sultan, a president, a ruler, kabir, a very big, which million awqiyah. If you bring it to grams, that will be 200 grams, 200 million grams of silver. That will only be wealth that will be owned by Sultanun Kabirun. But as for Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, it was within range to estimate his worth when he was in Makkah at 40,000 dirhams. And when he made Hijrah, it remained about 6,000 dirhams. So he spent everything fi sabilillah. Radiyallahu an Abi Bakr as-Siddiq wa ardah. I think it will be sufficient for us to stop here today. Bismillah, we'll continue with the discussions about Āishah in our subsequent classes. Allah Abdur-Rahman.
صلوات الله عليكم يا شيخنا.
آمين آمين وإياك.
The first question here is, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi Shaykh. May Allah preserve you upon high.
آمين آمين.
Someone who is very depressed to the point of not caring about anything anymore, including being neglected with salah. This person used to be observed. This person used to observe salat well and do other acts of worship, but now lost all will to do that. These are what we don't help this person. Because all aspects of the view upon righteousness.
If a person was upon righteousness and then he begins to lose upon righteousness, the first thing you do is you stop all those things that leads you into that. If you are not observing salah, start observing the salah. If a person was observing salah and then he stops, the first thing he has to do, especially about salah, is that he starts salah immediately. And then you begin to withdraw from all those other roads that got you to where you were. Like friends you kept. One of the worst things that happen to people when they lose guidance, when they lose upon the path of righteousness, is the friend that they keep, the company that they keep. Suhbatul Ashra. And the Prophet had warned us, alayhi salatu salam. He said that ar-rajul ala dini khalilihi, an individual will be upon the religion of his friend. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِ. Therefore, let everybody be careful and think properly who he makes his friend. If you make a bad person your friend, you are going to become bad. If you make a bad person who does not observe Salah your friend, you too will become a person who doesn't observe Salah. If you make a person who drinks alcohol your friend, you too it will come back to become like that. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِ. So let everybody be careful who he makes his friend. So the first thing I'll advise that person, change your circle of friends. Change to friends who, when you are seated anywhere and you hear the adhan for Salah, everybody starts saying what? Salah, 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 Salah. Let's go for Salah. Let's go for Umrah. Let's go for Hajj. Let's pay our zakah. Let's take our children to so and so school. That is a circle of friendship that you should keep. Or if you keep a bad circle of friendship, they will certainly lead you astray. May Allah protect all of us. The second thing you need to be careful about is the social media. One of the worst things that has happened to people in our own times is how they have stuck to the social media. They are always browsing. They are always on Facebook reading. 90% of what people read on the Facebook are things that will make them go astray. I say it again. 90% of what people read on Facebook are the things that will make them go astray. 90%. I don't know how you want to prevent it. 90% of what you see on Facebook are likely to lead you astray. People talk about Instagram and TikTok. They say that it is worse than Facebook. People say that Instagram and TikTok are worse than Facebook. So if you are on these platforms and you are active on them, I don't know how most likely you are not going to go astray. It's a matter of time. If you are on TikTok and you're a Muslim woman, you are going to quickly lose your haya'u first, your modesty. Are we not seeing Muslim girls now showing pictures of themselves on TikTok? I've heard it. One man cried to me, his daughter wearing face veil, niqab, was on TikTok doing video of herself, shaking her body like the women of the days of Jahiliyyah shake themselves. The father came to me crying. So social media is a means for the shaitan to destroy anybody. If you say that you are righteous, it can't happen to you. You would have been long destroyed before you realized. May Allah protect us. So the second thing I'll advise you apart from changing your circle of friends is that stop for now. Stop for now. Any kind of you're staying on social media. People stay on social media. I know young people, they are on social media. The advance for Salah to be called, they say, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. By the time they know the masjid, they finish Salah. They are still sitting down in front of the computer. May Allah protect all of us. For the sake of Allah, the social media, minimize it. You know other things that you do. If you have a particular friend, especially, who makes you commit to sin, avoid that friend. If it's because of one phone you have, leave that phone aside. Whatever becomes a means for you to become astray is your enemy. Whatever becomes a reason why you go astray is what? It's your enemy. So you should avoid all of these things. The third thing I will encourage you to do is make a lot of dua. Beg Allah a lot. Beg Allah a lot. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Make this dua a lot. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Oh Allah, help me to be able to remember you well. Help me to be able to be grateful to you. Help me to perfect my worship of you. Make this dua sincerely. Allah will help you. These are my advices for that brother. Inshallah. I hope that it is clear. Ameen wa antum.
Another person says, I wear a tight trouser like leggings because of winter here, since I live alone. And I observe it says, I wear a tight trouser, leggings, because of winter here, since I live alone. Can I observe my tahajjud with these tight trousers?
Winter means that the weather is cold. Isn't it? Winter means that the weather is cold. So if you wear a tight material, it will show your shape. If you wear a tight material, it will show your shape. So you can wear another one on top of it. You can wear another one on top of it. You can wear another one on top of it. So don't wear a dress that will show your shape in Salah. Whether you are praying alone or you are praying with people. If you wear a dress, especially women, note this. Some sisters are still wearing skin tight. If you wear that skin tight to observe Salah, you are just wasting your time. I have to tell you the truth. Stop wearing skin tight in Salah. If you wear skin tight and your jilbab is not covering everything to your leg, you are wasting your time. You don't have Salah. You can't dress such that your shape is showing in Salah. And when people tell you, you become rude to them, saying that they are not even happy that you are praying. If you are praying, are you praying for them or you are praying for yourself? You are the one who should be happy that Allah has guided you to Salah. If Allah has guided you to Salah, should you now waste that Salah by not fulfilling the conditions for which your Salah will be accepted? One of which is that you should dress, cover all parts of yourself except your face and your palms. Shouldn't you be grateful to those who call your attention to it? Should you be rude to them saying that they are not even happy that you are praying? If you don't pray, it does not do anything to them. You are the loser in it. May Allah protect us all from loss. So see them as your brothers, see them as your sisters who want good for you. And I think I have to advise you so frankly. So as a woman, whether in your room or elsewhere, you can't pray with a skin tight or anything that you wear that describes your shape. Likewise, the men, you can't wear a tight that describes your shape between your navel and your knees. If you do so, you don't have Salah. So you have to wear free-flowing dresses so that for men, between your navel and your knee, your shape should not show. As for women, between your neck and your legs downwards, your shape too should not show. Whatever you wear showing your shape will invalidate your salah. May Allah protect us from this. Ameen, ameen one.
Another person is asking, he said, Hassanullah ilaykum, sir. Please, what is the ruling on euthanasia?
What is the ruling on what?
Euthanasia. I think.
Euthanasia or what?
No, euthanasia.
What does that mean? Or the word is not properly pronounced?
No, that is the pronunciation. According to this one, there's a massive killing or painless killing of animals.
Massive killing. I know massive killing is you can't kill somebody. No soul is allowed to take the soul of another person. Allow the person to pass through the stage of death. The Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told us that death is painful. When the Prophet was passing away, he said, death is painful, alayhi salatu wasalam. So death is painful. And it is one of the ways by which Allah removes the sin of the dying person. So if you have a Muslim who is feeling pains before he dies, allow him to feel the pain. It is part of the mumashisat. Those things that happen to an individual that makes him become not punished in the grave. Is it clear? There are some things that removes adabul qabri for a Muslim, a person of Iman. One of it is that at the time that he's dying, those troubles, those sins, those inadequacies are removed from him as a result of those pains, or that Allah uses those pains to raise his ranks. The pains are either removing the sins or doing what? Raising his ranks to be higher than it was or that it would have been. So for the messengers of Allah, their own pains raise their ranks. But for the rest of the Muslims who may become sinful and all of these, Allah uses their pains to cancel that, their kafarat for their zunub, their atonements for their sins. So no, there is no mercy killing, there is no mercy in that. Euthanasia. I can see it now. It's euthanasia. It's not allowed. Killing a Muslim under any guide is not allowed, except for the al-muhsin al-zani, a person who had been previously married who now commits zina, or an-nafsu bin-nafsi, or a person who takes the life of another person, or al-murtad al-mufariqu li-dinihi. The murtad is the renegade who abandons Islam, or the one who takes up a war against Allah and His Messenger, like the one who abuses Allah and His Messenger, whether a Muslim or a non-Muslim. So if it happens to be a Muslim, and all of these, or those who go about spreading evil on the surface of the earth, Allah mentioned them in Surah Al-Ma'idah. All of these people, constituted authority will apprehend them, and after due investigation and research and all of that, if they are found guilty properly of that offense, the Sharia legislates that the punishment is a capital punishment. Allahu Akbar. I hope that this is clear. Other than that, don't take the life of anybody. Ameen. Can we call it today, Abu Rahman? The time is perfect. Amin, amin. We'll meet in class tomorrow morning, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.